Are you ready for another Flipping Frenzy video? I love getting together with all of the wonderful ladies from Sonnet's Garden Blooms, her creative membership group. We do these every few months, I guess, and they are really cool. So I am going to show you what I have in my box that Karen sent me. And I'm going to show you what I have to upcycle, and hopefully I'll be able to use most of the items, if not all of the items in here. So let me show you what I got to flip. So here's my box that I got from Karen from Custom Crafts and More. So there was that sign. There are these little light bulb shaped clear ornaments. Cute little coffee mug. This oval tin. Cute little sleigh. And a little Noel like ornament type. These really cute little circles that I can see some wreaths. And here's a cute little house-shaped decoration with a Santa. Some little Tinker Toy pieces. This really pretty Christmassy cloth. Some really pretty ribbon. This was really cool. There's a little, it's like an ornament with some bells in it. And a star. Cute little snowman. And a Christmas tree. And some little butterfly paper cutouts. And here's a little Merry Christmas sign. Karen really outdid herself. She sent me some really great items, and I'm excited to get flipping, and I'm going to show you what I create. So for project one, I'm going to start with this little shelf sitter. So I'm going to use my little scraper here and take off all the little stickers. And then I'll take off that little cardboard piece that was on the hanger. So once I get all that prepped and ready to go, we'll start creating. So I decided I wanted to do a transfer on this. So I'm going to flip through, I believe this is one of the new ones this year. It's Santa's Hollow. And it's from IOD. So I just kind of flip through to see which one I like, which one I think will fit the best. And then I'll decide what colors I want to paint this. So I just kind of keep flipping. I really like that one with him sitting in the chair reading a book. So I just kind of flipped through, and I did end up going back and picking out this one with Santa with a Christmas tree. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get him cut out and get him all ready. I'm going to try to get better at knowing where I'm getting these transfers from. A lot of times I cut them up and then I just throw them all in a bin and I don't know which book they came from, but I'm going to try to get better at that. So I decided to paint the front where the Santa is going to go, and I'm going to give that 2 coats of, I believe I used crinoline from DIY. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give it 1 coat. I'm going to let that dry completely. And then I'm going to go back and I'll give it a 2nd coat. I just want to make sure everything's covered up good. Okay, that was all dry. So I kind of started painting this already. I'm going to paint like the sides and the edges. And I'm going to paint all of that in Highlander. That is a fusion paint, and it's an all-in-one paint, so it doesn't need a top coat. But I'm going to do the same thing with those. I'm just going to go through, trying to be really careful. I'm going to give it 2 coats just to make sure I have good coverage. So I'm going to give it the 1 coat. I'll let that dry completely, and then I'll go back in and I'll do a 2nd coat and let that dry. All right, I got everything dry. So now I'm going to go ahead and apply the transfer. So I just remove the backing. And then all of the transfer books, they all come with a transfer stick. So I grab that and I just position it down where I want it. And then I'm just going to start rubbing away. So I'm just going to kind of rub, and as I go, I lift it up And if something doesn't stick, you just lay it back down and go over it again until it sticks. This came off super simple, and it made for a really quick and easy flip. So I'm just going to go ahead and keep rubbing that until I have the whole thing adhered. And then once everything is stuck down good, you do want to burnish it in, which that just means you take that little plastic sheet and you just kind of rub it over top. Just you want to make sure all the pieces are stuck down. So then to seal everything in, like I said, I did use the Fusion mineral paint around the edges, but I did use DIY paint where I put the transfer, and then the transfer needs to be sealed in also. So I decided to go ahead. I'm just using a clear wax, which is also from DIY. So I just go ahead and I apply it to the whole thing. So I'm going to go all around the edges, and then I go right over top of where I put the transfer. I get that all good and sealed in. And then while it's still wet, of course, I love the aged look. So I'm taking some of this, the dark dust. I think that's what it's called. I don't know the technical term, but it's the darker dust. And I'm going to go all around the edges with it. And it just kind of melts into the wax. So I just kind of keep going all around the edge just till I get my desired look. So some people like a little bit more, some people like a little bit less. So I just kind of keep going all the way around. And then I'm going to take my paper towel. And I just kind of end up rubbing it. But I do rub it. I wanted it all over the whole front of the thing just to give it an aged look. And I absolutely love how this turned out. I think it has just the perfect amount. So I just kind of go through, and then I go through all the edges just to make sure everything looks cohesive. For project 2, I'm going to do this little Christmas tree, and it did have some little holes in it, so I went ahead and filled them with some air dry clay. So here I'm just sanding it smooth just to make sure I'm working with a smooth surface. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that, and then we're going to get it painted. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm using, I believe this was Eden is what I decided to go with. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to get the whole entire thing painted up. And I do the front and the back and all the sides. So let me go ahead and I think I end up doing 2 coats on this also. So I'll do the first coat, let it dry completely, and then I come back in and do a second coat. So let me go ahead and get this painted, and then I'll be right back. So I want to paint that little star on top just to kind of separate that. And I believe it's a Fusion paint. I believe this one was called Buttercream. I think just Buttercream. So I just kind of do my little star shape, and I just get all that painted in. And then I'm going to let that dry, and then I just touch it up just till I have the desired look. So let me finish this and let me let this dry, and I'll be back to do the next step. So now I'm going to go through. I decided I wanted to use one of the gold transfers. I just thought that would look really good on this dark green. So I'm just going to kind of go through. I love this book. It has the silver and it has the gold. So I'm just kind of flipping through. It's kind of hard to find one that's going to fit really well on this tree. It's kind of small. And with the odd shape, it's kind of hard to find something that's going to fit in there well. but I do end up deciding on the word joy. I just thought that would look really good, and it should fit pretty good on there. So I'm going to go ahead and get that cut out. And then I just kind of place it on the tree and kind of position it to make sure it's going to fit well. And then once I find the right placement, I'm going to peel off that backer sheet. And I do have a little bit of a mishap here. So I lay it down, and then I grab my, my transfer stick. And you just want to make sure you don't rub too hard on these. You have to use more of a gentle hand than you do with the more traditional ones. So I just get it on there. I want to make sure you can see all the letters. So I'm just going to go ahead and start rubbing. And as I'm rubbing it on there, you'll see once I start to peel it back, it's peeling the paint also, which means I did not let the paint dry, or the top coat, the big top, I didn't let it dry long enough. So it's kind of pulling up the paint as I'm going. I kind of sanded it down, and I did do, I touched it up with the paint, and I did more big top, and then I let it dry longer. So then I flipped back through the book, and I found Noel. So I decided to use that. So I'm just kind of really gentle hand, and I'm just kind of rubbing slowly just to get that to come off. I really struggled with this one. I don't know why, but it did end up working. I just had to be really careful. And I just kind of keep rubbing and lifting as I'm going, and I just kind of keep checking to make sure that it's all coming off. And I did see somebody else, they used like a, I don't know what kind of tool it was. I can't remember who it was. It might have been Cindy from Spark of Vintage. She used a tool with a rounded edge, and she just went over the letters, and it worked really well. All right, so I got that down, and now it just needed a little more something. So I decided to use Golden Ticket, which is also from DIY. And I'm just going to go kind of around the edges. And then I decided to do the sides. And then I just kind of went over the star just to give it a little shimmer. So I just kind of go all around the edges until I get the desired look. And that just looks really good with that golden transfer. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get all this done. And then I'm going to show you, oh, I do also add a red ribbon that came in my box from Karen. So I did that on the back just to use that as a hanger, and I thought this would be a really cute little ornament, or you could hang it from like a hook on a coat rack, even from a doorknob on your cabinets, just to have a little decoration. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to finish this up, and then we'll come back and show you the final look. So here you see I just took a piece of that ribbon. I thought I would show you this real quick. And then I just folded it in half, cut my desired length, folded it in half, just used my hot glue gun, put a little bit on there, and this project is complete. So my next project is I'm going to do these Christmas light bulb shaped ornaments. So I'm going to start off, I'm going to paint them all in Apothecary. I love the color, and it kind of reminds me a little bit of that jadeite look. So I just take off the toppers, And then I'm going to go ahead and start painting. So I have to start out, these are pretty shiny and smooth. So I'm going to start by giving them all a coat of the Dixie Belle. It's called Slick Stick. And it just kind of primes it, and it gives a good base for the DIY paint to stick to. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do all of these with the Slick Stick before I start with the Apothecary. So I just did one coat of the Slick Stick on all 4 of the bulbs. So now I'm just going to do the Apothecary. So I'll do one coat, dry it, and I just used my heat gun to help it along. And then I'll do a second coat, and then we'll come back for the next step. So the next step, I'm just going to apply a coat of Big Top just to seal that DIY paint. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that, and I'll let that dry, and then we'll come back and add some transfers. So for these, I am going to use some of the transfers from the Kitschy Christmas, which is from last year. But I think this was probably one of my favorite transfers from last year. There's a bunch of really small transfers, so they're perfect for the ornaments. So I am going to go through and I'm going to find 4 that I like. All right, so I picked out the 4 that I wanted. So I'm just going to kind of do the same thing as I did before. I just lay it down there, and always doing it a rounded surface is always a little more trickier, but if you just take your time, these they come off really good. And I did make sure my Big Top was completely dry. So I'm just going to go ahead and rub, and then as I start rubbing, I'm going to peel it back until the whole transfer is transferred to my ornament. And like I said before, if a little piece sticks and doesn't release, you just lay it back down and rub over it until it releases. And these all came off pretty easy. So let me go ahead. I'm going to finish all 4 of these, and then I'll come back. All right, I got those all put on there. So now I'm just going to go over top of that transfer with Big Top to make sure it's sealed in, and then I'm going to let them dry. And then with the tops, I decided to add some golden ticket to the tops also. I was going to do a copper color. It's a patina paint from Dixie Belle, but I decided I liked the gold color better. So I'm just going to take all 4 tops, and I end up giving them like 3 or 4 coats just to make sure they were all covered. So here I'm just putting the final touches on it, and I just grabbed a piece of floral foam just to kind of stick them in so that they could dry. So I just kind of finished them up, and then I am going to put them in the ornament. And when I did my final picture, I forgot to put the ribbon. So I'm going to use some velvety ribbon to use to loop in there to use as a hanger. And I didn't do that yet in my final picture, but I will do that before I get them ready to go to my booth. So here I'm just getting this done, and I'll show you the final results. So what do you think, guys? I ran out of time. I have a couple more projects, so I will put them in the next video. So I'll be a little bit ahead of myself. But I want to thank Karen from Custom Crafts and More for sending me all these amazing products. Make sure you check out the other creators. I'll put a playlist in the description along with links to all the products I used. And I will see you again next time. Have a great day, everybody.